Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari haven't exactly set the track on fire in the first days of preseason testing, at least that's what they want us to believe. On the surface, it might seem like Ferrari is still playing catch-up, but those who've been around Formula One long enough know that preseason testing times are never the full story. Could this all be part of a carefully orchestrated strategy? Could Ferrari be playing the long game, hiding their real performance until the very last moment? There's a term in Formula One called sandbagging, where teams deliberately underperform in testing to mislead their competitors before revealing their true speed when it matters most. And if any team knows how to play this game, it's Ferrari. So, are they genuinely struggling with setup issues, or are they setting up the biggest surprise of the season? Hamilton was one of the most closely watched drivers on the first day of testing, giving fans and analysts plenty of time to assess how he looked in the car and how the SF-25 handled under his command. On the surface, everything seemed solid, smooth runs, consistent laps. But when the timing sheets were released, eyebrows were raised. While Charles Leclerc put up competitive numbers, Hamilton was further down the order. Was this just a matter of him adapting to a new machine, or was Ferrari deliberately keeping him in a lower gear, saving the real pace for later? From a first glance, the Ferrari looked strong, but it wasn't the only car showing promise. The Red Bull, driven by reserve driver Liam Lawson, seemed just as, if not more, stable. Lawson's runs through turn 10 were impressively consistent, showing a car that responded well to his inputs right from the get-go. Meanwhile, Hamilton appeared to be testing different approaches, alternating between riding the inner curb and avoiding it entirely. Was this part of a structured learning process, or was he trying to compensate for an underlying issue in the car's handling? As testing progressed, Hamilton's runs became increasingly aggressive. There was a clear sense of experimentation. Some laps saw him attacking the corners with confidence, while others showed a bit of hesitation. He had a few small errors, a lockup into turn 8, a slightly wide moment at turn 10, and even a snap of oversteer exiting turn 4 that saw him briefly dip a wheel into the gravel. But for a driver who has spent his entire career fine-tuning a Mercedes, this was to be expected. Switching teams after more than a decade means unlearning years of instinctive habits and building a new relationship with a completely different machine. As the day wore on, Hamilton's Ferrari started to show some of its character. While Leclerc appeared to be able to lean on the rear of the car with confidence, Hamilton seemed to struggle more with the front end, particularly when trying to commit heavily to turn-ins. This could indicate an initial understeer balance in the setup, something that Ferrari may have adjusted too aggressively when handing the car over to Leclerc for the afternoon session. These kinds of minor adjustments are all part of the preseason process, but the question remains, was this a sign of genuine issues, or was Ferrari deliberately keeping their cards close to their chest? One thing was clear. Despite his lap times not being headline-grabbing, Hamilton showed no signs of backing off. His confidence remained intact, and his commitment to pushing the car was evident in every run. And that's what makes this situation so intriguing. If the Ferrari truly had balance issues, wouldn't he be more conservative? Instead, he continued to attack, hinting that there was plenty more potential to be unlocked. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest changes Hamilton has made in his switch to Ferrari: his steering wheel. For any driver, the steering wheel is like an extension of their own body. Every button, switch, and dial is placed exactly where they need it to be, allowing them to make split-second adjustments without thinking twice. After 12 years at Mercedes, Hamilton had built up muscle memory for every control, so adapting to Ferrari's entirely different layout was always going to be one of his biggest challenges. And guess what? He wasn't about to settle for what Ferrari gave him. Hamilton has completely reworked his steering wheel layout to better suit his instincts. Ferrari test driver Oliver Bearman was one of the first to notice these changes, pointing out that Hamilton had moved key controls around to better replicate what he was used to. One of the biggest differences? the DRS button. On Mercedes's steering wheel, Hamilton's DRS button was in a very specific spot, right where Ferrari had placed their neutral button. The last thing you want to do while trying to activate DRS is accidentally put the car in neutral. So Hamilton had Ferrari reposition the DRS button and tweak other functions to better match what he was accustomed to. Onboard footage from testing confirmed this change, with Hamilton visibly pressing a different button than Leclerc when activating DRS. While this might seem like a small detail, it speaks volumes about Hamilton's meticulous approach. He's not just adapting to the SF-25, he's actively shaping it into a car that fits his driving style. Behrman, who has been part of Ferrari's development process, found Hamilton's changes fascinating, noting that after so many years in the same car, even minor differences can feel massive. And for Hamilton, being able to instinctively access the controls he needs is crucial for building confidence in the car. All of this adds up to one major takeaway. Hamilton isn't here to ease into things. He's diving headfirst into this new challenge, making the car his own, and proving that even at 40 years old, his hunger to win hasn't faded one bit. So what does this all mean for Ferrari's 2025 season? While Hamilton's early lap times might not have been eye-catching, there's every reason to believe that Ferrari has much more pace in reserve. Sandbagging is a common tactic in preseason testing, especially for a team that wants to keep expectations in check. They could be running with higher fuel loads, holding back engine power, or deliberately testing different setups to gather as much data as possible before showing their true speed. But make no mistake, when it matters, Ferrari will unleash everything they've got. The real question is whether this car has the potential to challenge Red Bull right from the start. With Max Verstappen and Red Bull still looking like the favorites, Ferrari will need to bring their absolute best if they want to dethrone the reigning champions. Hamilton, for his part, seems ready. He's already making the car his own, fine-tuning every detail to maximize performance. And with his relentless drive, combined with Ferrari's hunger to return to the top, this could be the most exciting season in years. The Italian team hasn't won a driver's championship since 2007, and for Ferrari, that is simply unacceptable. If the SF-25 truly has the performance they claim, and if Hamilton can extract the most out of it, this could be the season where the tides finally turn. So now, it's over to you. Do you think Ferrari is hiding their true pace? Are they just getting warmed up before making a statement in the final days of testing? And could this be the year Hamilton finally brings the championship back to Maranello? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and get ready, because the real action is just getting started.